signal their virtue, to UN they're flying. In front of green marble, an Olympics of lying. They fill the hotels, narcotics and escorts, claiming immunity, untouchable by courts. Gag order contempt, but now no jail time. All swept away, at least till the next time. Shutdown seems coming, the House not returning. Pure party line votes are pretty concerning. All seems to ride continuing tariffs. Memphis, Chicago, how many sheriffs? Gag order contempt, but now no jail time. All swept away, at least till the next time. Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Now, yesterday, in the noon briefing, UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric intoned angry about the possible denial of visas, maybe even to Brazil, which is kind of interesting. As to visas, he said as follows, that the host country agreement between the United States and the United Nations requires the U.S. to allow in not just diplomats of countries, not just any UN staffer that they hire, many of whom bought their jobs, but any journalist accredited by the UN must be allowed into the United Nations. Now, here's the irony. I have nothing, seems fine, except when you're there, you find that half the accredited journalists are not journalists at all. They are literally working for governments in blood-splattered dictatorships. But some of them actually aren't journalists, they just don't do any journalistic work. But the irony, the hypocrisy of the UN saying that the U.S. must allow in any dictator propagandist that they accredit as a journalist, but that the UN sitting in New York has no responsibility to live up to the First Amendment or Article 19 or just general principles of content-neutral press freedom. Shocking and disgusting. So it's a litmus test. It's getting quite close. And we'll have more on that. Going in. This is Antonio Guterres. Today, Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. They devoted a full day to his press conference, but all the questions were softballs. Inner City Press submitted a number of questions about corruption. Many of them come from the UN's own staff, whether under Volker Turk or in South Sudan, saying how the place is going to the garbage can. Cronies are taking the jobs while other people are getting fired as rats try to save themselves on a sinking ship. But not only did they not let Inner City Press in, they didn't answer a single one of his written questions. It's basically just a love fest of propagandists.
Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to this traditional pre-General Assembly press conference. The Secretary
It's traditional. It's exactly
remarks. He will take some questions. We have our wonderful interpreters here, so you can ask questions in French or
But don't ask any hard
Spanish.
questions. And here, as the press conference ends, is the UN correspondent who did a fundraiser with Ghislaine Maxwell. In that very room, Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of sex trafficking, cavorting with Guterres inside the press briefing room. We can look it up. Check it out. Inner City Press. We've applied to re-enter on June 19th. The German mission said, just write to Malu. But Todd Meckel, Melissa Fleming, there's just no answers. Totally unaccountable and corrupt. This is the face of today's United Nations.
West. And there's that. Today we'll be live tweeting not only the Sudan genocide BNP case, but also the sentencing of the second of two defendants in the Chinese fentanyl case of Hubei Amarval. And what connects these two? You got it. The United Nations. Failed on both fronts. I've been in Darfur, believe it or not. I covered the UN before Antonio Guterres, for his own corrupt reasons, had Inner City Press banned for exposing his financial links to the China Energy Fund Committee. But when I was there, the head guy in Darfur, it was the UN AU mission called UNAMID. So in fairness, it was also AU corruption. There was a guy called Gambari. He's a Nigerian politician. I don't mind. I talked to him a lot of times.
living in an enormous mansion on huge pasha-like cushions. And while the UN was accomplishing nothing, in fact, they're still talking about it, but they had a chance in Sudan and they did nothing. So there's that. And they've also, on the issue of forget Guterres' capture by China, UNODC, the UN Office of Drugs and Crime, is an absolute shambles. In fact, their head person is being ousted, but she's still getting paid to work remotely. We've asked questions about it and they haven't answered it. But, okay, if this is the last vlog of the week, have a good weekend. To be continued.